So two of our panelists couldn't make it, but we have Suhas and Akshat joining us. Akshat is the founder of Cyware, and Suhas is Senior VP at Aujas Cybersecurity. Burgess is also joining us for this interesting panel, from reactive to proactive, operationalizing your threat intel. So yeah, over to you, Akshat, to moderate the panel and ask some challenging questions. This time to Burgess, who's on the other side as well.
Correct. Hey, thanks a lot, Antriksh, for giving us this opportunity for hosting this panel. And thanks, Burgess, for helping us at the last minute. So I'll be putting you on spot as a CISO as well as a Big Four both.
Anything for a friend, Akshat, anything for a friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All our friends.
And thanks a lot, Suhas, for being with us for this panel. So I think I'll start with Suhas first, and then Burgess, I'll move on to you. So today we are going to discuss about threat intel in terms of proactivity, in terms of reactive, in terms of how do we operationalize the threat intel, which has become a commodity in recent times, especially post-COVID. If we see things are like moving, whether it's SolarWinds, whether exchange attack, whether it's hundreds of things. Let's not go in each one of them. But Intel has become a commodity now, and it's becoming a problem for each of the companies to utilize it, operationalize it, and make use of it. So, Suhas, based on your experience, like you have been in different hats in last few years, you have seen a wide spectrum of things. You have seen IoT space, you have seen multiple space. So wanted to know your thought process on how can we make the overall Intel journey proactive?
So thanks, Akshat. Hi, Burgess. So one important aspect when we are talking with multiple CIOs and CISOs, it is coming, you need to move from SOC to CDC. This is one big trend we are seeing. So if you say 3-4 years back, everybody was talking like, say, I need to monitor all my logs, I need to integrate all my infrastructure components, applications, and whatever is there in my ecosystem, I need to monitor. And after that, people will monitor, alert, and I will respond on that. Now, scenario is very different. So most of customers are asking about offensive security. So I don't have time to wait till the attack happens. I need to have some intelligence beforehand, and I need to have offensive security team members in my team. So initially, if you see, combination was like, say, some SOC analyst or SOC managers we used to deploy in SOC. Now scenarios are changing. I need to have a combination of offensive security guys, then SIM architect, as well as SIM analyst piece. So that paradigm has been changed significantly. That is the one trend which we are seeing, SOC to CDC, Cyber Defense Centers. That is what we are seeing at most of the places. Second piece is like devices perspective, everything is connected now. And say from your healthcare devices, from your say OT devices, IoT devices, everything is getting changed. And a lot of data is getting generated. So last week we were working with one of the large connected devices company. So their per unit transactions or alerts were 2.7 billion. That is a huge number.
Correct.
And when we were analyzing that part, so most of the attacks were in different shifts. So when we are talking about the devices piece, attacks on reverse engineering, attacks on devices part, attacks on API calls, attacks on the cloud system, attacks on connected application, they covered everything. Now getting everything at one place and capturing intelligence, that is important aspect. And that's why we are more keen or people are adopting threat intelligence. So whenever we are talking or Gartner or Workforce, when they are putting up what are the major things in offensive security, threat intelligence, threat hunting, and forensic. These are the three things which they are bucketing together. In that space, threat intelligence is a major thing which plays a lot of bigger roles to detect and alert systems in beforehand. Something goes wrong, a big way.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. I think that's a good insights which you shared, like the SOC versus CDC, how that SOC versus CDC concept is moving, and how we as an industry has to align as the industry is moving towards it. Let me jump to Mr. Burgess. Sir, so you have been on the other side of the table, like as a CISO of large telecom, then being in Big Four, you get to see different industry, different sector, various things which are happening. How do you think, like, anyone today, and I'm covering everything here, not only a CISO, not only a company, but me being a security analyst, a SOC L1, because I want to hear it from their angle, that what they should be doing to start kind of understanding this Intel world, how they start moving towards proactive part of the entire security story, entire predictive part of the security story. So if you can share some lights or vision on how me starting, when I'm starting my career as a SOC L1 analyst in any industry, any sector, how do I adopt these things and how do I kind of become master of it?
Thank you, Akshat. Always happy to contribute. Like in any warfare, it's based on deception and intelligence, right? Whether it's physical warfare or cyber warfare. And timely intelligence makes a big difference to you being able to either thwart yourself from the enemy attack or being a victim. Take an example. As you mentioned rightly, daily there's some amount of yesterday Microsoft made a new patch or SolarWinds happened and some attacks happened from this sector. I think that it's all about the bent of mind. If I'm an L1 analyst and I will only do, okay, something came and do my job and then that's it. But if I have a curious mind, oh, that's attacks happening. How can that affect to me? What are the IOCs? Can I know, is my company secured? What is the APD number? It's that inquisitive, that attacker's mentality. You cannot be a good defense guy if you don't know how to sense an attack and do an attack yourself. And I think it's a state of mentality of an L1 guy. He could be in the blue team, but if he does not think like an attacker, in a football parlance, the attacker will run rings around him and sort of do the goal. So from that perspective, clearly the bent of mind, the attack mentality is very important for a L1 analyst to think. How will he ensure that the intelligence is timely used for his perspective? That's my point of view.
Perfect, perfect. I think there was an echo in between somewhere. So Suhas, let me jump to you and ask one more story around how do you feel like the cross-sector intel is it getting really operationalized, and because you interact with so many sectors, so do you think there's a role of cross-sector uh, helping each other, benefiting each other, BFSI working only with BFSI, bank working only with bank, not even with F and S and I? So do you think that somewhere that cross-sector harmony in this entire world has to come together on the proactive part of defense system? So let's not even limit it to Intel, but the proactive part of the entire defensing system or overall defensing part of it. Like all of us have to come together to fight the bad actors. So, and they're working together as a group. So anything you see as a trend, anything you see that we should be doing or things are moving towards that?
Yeah. So there are a couple of examples recently happened. So one part is like, say, healthcare industry. So we are saying, so even today morning's news is about many countries targeted on vaccine manufacturers. That is the one case. Second case is like similar type of attacks has been happened in last week on airlines, and few attacks has happened on OT part. So you might have seen a large article day before yesterday where a particular state has been targeting Indian grid power plants and control systems. So these are the three classic examples. So if you say almost three are coming in critical infrastructure, so national critical infrastructure, and it has huge impact on human lives and their day-to-day work part. So if you see attack pattern, so everything so for healthcare, all the critical infrastructure, ICS, OT, that is there.
Correct.
That part is common. Although industry is different, similar stuff is for the power and grid. Their control systems are comes under in ICS part. And third piece is in airlines also, lot of sensor technology they are using, and complete aviation part control systems that also has been targeted in singular industry. Now attack vector, threat intelligence across all the three part, sign prediction part. So now there is another trend which we are seeing, cyber prediction. So with lot of big data at the back end and analytics, and using all this threat intelligence for all across the industry, that is getting on common patterns and it is helping. Another example is like for the citizen cyber prediction part, cyber crime space. So there is also a lot of things which are coming as part of like say human behavioral patterns. People are using social media. Those parts are also some parts coming into other sectors. So sector-wise scenarios might be different, use cases might be different, but attack patterns or intelligence patterns are similar and interlinked sometimes. So ICS and OT is the classic examples which I would recommend.
Perfect, perfect.
So Akshat, I'd like to add there.
Please.
Clearly, collaboration. It doesn't have to be a matter of bank, non-bank. Collaboration between the CISO community, which I think is really there now. One thread comes in a few seconds. CISOs are all over the place. IOCs are shared. Attacks. So I think that is clearly there. Informal channel of collaboration is really active. Some of you will be in a WhatsApp groups, the Signal groups. That really sector works. And one person asks for help, and there are enough and five guys to sort of give the right information, which was not there 5 years ago. That I think, at least in the Indian sector, I'm sure it's other places. The collaboration between CISOs is just fantastic. The amount of WhatsApp groups, the amount of intel, I think that's really helped propagate right timely intel the right place, irrespective of official channels of communication.
Yes, and I think I can I echo you, and we see this trend, as you said, across, like, not only in India, even in Middle East, where we talk to various CISOs and various WhatsApp groups, literally even IOC shared, even in Arabics, and and even in US. And the cross sector is need of the hour, and cross sector is happening and will continue happening. And I think somewhere regulators will also start playing that role the moment they start importance of that. So it may become or will become eventually where regulators are also helping each and everyone in sharing that.
On a lighter note, Akshat, very often I get your threat intel from other people before you send it to me. So it means it's working. Your company is doing a great job.
Thank you. So, Burgess, let me come to you, and let me switch the gear a little bit from this side to the cloud part of it. So there's a buzz around cloud. We as a, like, traditionally people say that India as a country runs 4 or 5 years behind in adoption of the new technology, whether it's 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, or even cloud adoption. On the cloud adoption eventually has to happen, right? In steps, as a slow or faster pace, depends on which sector you belong to, how compliant it is, how regulated it is. From a CISO and from a Big Four consulting point of view, what kind of risk you see in the cloud movement, and how the overall intel and proactive approach can help reducing or mitigating those risks, which people have as a fear? Oh, no, I should not be moving to cloud. I'll next day get attacked, because they feel cloud is S3, and S3 is the biggest vulnerable stuff in cloud. So what's your experience there, and how do you think the proactive approach can help mitigating or making that fear go away for moving to cloud for many of the Indian organizations, including BFSI or non-BFSI?
So clearly cloud is more than S3, as you mentioned, and clearly cloud is imminent. You're also right that many people have hurried the journey to the cloud, rightfully so, because COVID came in and you didn't have the people. So one thing the cloud clearly rules over everybody else is the speed, the part of elasticity which it can happen. It just needs a thoughtful process to migrate to the cloud. If you have a cloud first strategy, is that really working? Have you thought through? Cloud is somebody else's data center, right? Have you done that very well? If you have that thought process, and you have the right security checks and balances of getting to the cloud, and if you have either a dual cloud approach or hybrid cloud approach, or all dev on the cloud and production on whatever, if you have thought through that well, cloud journey could be a much more fructifying, peaceful, helpful journey. If on the other hand you have not done that, probably, and it's just a ad hoc reaction, or someone said so, someone read so, someone said it's cheaper, it does not have to be cheaper. It may become much more prudent in the long run. So I think a careful thought through process of spending the right introspection, saying why cloud, how cloud, when cloud, can make all the difference. But yeah, you're right, cloud is imminent for the future. It just depends how well you get there.
Correct.
So here, Akshat, to add on Burgess' point, so another trend which we are seeing, a lot of adoption for cloud native SIM and SOAR capabilities. So there are about major 8 to 12 players. Those are providing these services. And initially, when we were talking, say 5 years back, so it was like there were 2, 3 on-premise SIM players were there. So now people are changing. So largely for the SME bank or organization side, so they are adopting for this cloud native assignment. So that is one good thing which we are seeing in India or APAC region. So from the cloud assignment part. Second piece is like, if like Burgess said, if we do proper strategy on cloud security, fundamental part is like you need to have cloud native security. That needs to correct first. Whenever you are taking any cloud setup or you are hosting, whether it is large organization or it is a small one instance, you need to have those things rightly set in the foundation itself. Native security controls, your all the governance, compliance space, and third one is like whatever you are doing, a regulatory driven part should be mandatorily made in particular region, maybe in India, maybe in Middle East, or maybe in US. So these three things are quite necessary for cloud adoption and securing its entire end-to-end ecosystem has been hosted in proper environment. That is needed.
Perfect. And let me stick
The
to you.
second inhibition, Akshat, and
Yes,
just going forward, is probably the only other inhibition of going in the bad is the availability of trained manpower.
Yeah.
Now, most people in all phases of life, cloud is a new thing. So while you can talk cloud, but actually going to the natives of securing the cloud, quantifying the cloud, configuring on the cloud is a big sort of challenge if you don't have the right people and support to get there.
Correct.
Yeah. Right.
But do you still see that as a fear? Do you still see that as a barrier? Do you still see that as a big no, I will not move. Sorry, not for next 5 years, not for next 2 years.
People are moving, but it is slow. See, so what is happening? Some places people are doing pilot, but what they're just checking whether in the flow or as part of digital transformation journey, they're trying for the few pilots. But getting right people on ground to do all the security, because few instances like what Burgess said, if you are not setting it with properly native security controls, no right talent. Now, majorly hardly 2 or 3 cloud players are playing transformation journeys, and there is a lack of skilled manpower. People are there from the infrastructure point, whatever work they have done, they are doing hosting out. But doing all the detailed cloud foundation security, all your advanced cloud native control security. So that part somehow we need to be skilled big way. We started that journey in India specifically. Hardly you will get say 100 guys who has done this native and advanced security controls implementation properly. So that pool we need to create and support this entire transformations.
Sure. But just you want to add something? I think you unmuted in between.
I just thought, yeah, thanks for your smart idea. And also could be question we ask ourselves: what are we doing to empower the cloud journey? How many guys are we training? What session are we doing on awareness to ensuring don't worry, you have the right hand holding? The fear of unknown always slows down progress, right? Because you don't know what's there. But the questions I would ask myself, and we should all ask, is what are we doing to allay the fear of the unknown?
Correct. Exactly. So, Burgess, let me stay to you. Another thing which I wanted to check is post-COVID, like the moment all of us went into lockdown, exactly. I think for most of us, last travel was this Nullcon Goa, if I remember correctly. And I think since then we were not traveling. But we stick to our home and everything. So suddenly everything become work from home, right? And many of the organizations in India, especially banks and all, they did not even have laptop with all the employees. So where I'm taking my question is towards endpoint security, because at the end of the day, my laptop, my device, my phone, where I started working to work for my company, for my office applications, for my work applications, which probably none of the organizations or many of the CISOs did not even get proper time to implement it. Because if COVID was not there, they would have done this kind of exercise in 2 years. But COVID made them do this transition in 2 months, probably with minimal disruptions. So where do you feel that, is there a scope that on the cloud endpoint security, what happened post-COVID, A, are we taking enough care? B, how can we be proactive by operationalizing the intel aspect of it to be more secure in the overall endpoint security, where everything is kind of work from home, semi-BYOD, multiple combinations which people never thought that we'll be moving so fast in 2020.
You're right, Akshat. What had to be done, right? Got done. And I think the true value of the CISO, true value of the captain, it comes in adversity. The ship is sailing, nobody realizes, but when the ship's going down, so true value of the CISO and the CIO really came out during these times. I did 16 sessions of moderating fireside chats with about 800 people during this COVID times. The learnings of these were said IT has moved from a business enabler to a value creator. Okay, if IT was not there, probably the business guys would have been home and unable to work. And yes, security moved to the edge. People did Ubers and Olas to send workstations, laptops, whatever was available, rent, hire, beg, borrow. People paid money to companies, to employees who use their own home laptops. Imagine taking a son's laptop saying, I want for the office, but my company is paying me. And I had all those cases people saying. But clearly now the time to take pause, reflect, see the digital advances happened. We may not have gone on the cloud, but has that journey been secure? And it's a good time to introspect, reflect, and make corrections due before somebody else forces you to make it.
Correct. Perfect. Boss, you want to add anything on this aspect?
Yeah. So to continue on that part, most of the organizations say in India, 90%, more than 90%, we can say adoption was good. People started work from home. Hardly any organization has not enabled their BYOD and remote work facilities. So here, risk from the remote desktop or endpoint security, EDR specifically, or you can say XDR piece. So that is much needed. So we need to look out at least once in a quarter whether my XDR journey is really secure, whether all my endpoints has been really covered, all the assets on the cloud, whatever I have posted, risk assessment on those points also has been covered. So primary risk assessment for your entire part and XDR coverage that we need to measure correctly. It will give us a lot of intelligence, how many loopholes are in my system and what are the improvement plans I need to consider. That is the important piece.
Perfect. I think we have 6 more minutes. Meanwhile, are there any questions from any of the audience? Please just type in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm just moving on to one more input which I needed from you, Burgess, is from the entire SolarWinds story, which shook all of us because the kind of long impact it had, and reaching from there to, oh, probably an intern had a weak password, right? So how we, all of us, is there something proactively can we do? Because where are we lacking is in the actions. Everyone knows that this is my bullet list. Everyone knows this is my hygiene list. But somehow that hygiene is not followed up. What all of us as a organizations, as a company, as a CISO, as a captain, as a CIO, as a CTO, as a DevSecOps head, or even as a developer or as an intern. Because what happens, I'll tell you the real practical ground problem. Everyone knows that 1 + 1 = 2. Everyone knows this is my hygiene. Everyone knows that I'm not supposed to do this. Everyone knows I'm not supposed to have this weak password. Everyone knows that I'm not supposed to give a CI/CD pipeline to an intern. What all do I do? What all should I be doing to proactively, because my focus today is proactive part of the things, that another SolarWinds does not happen?
So I'll start with the captain, right? You asked what the captain. I think it's the CISO's job and responsibility to set out the priority for the company. Because if he does not do that, everybody else will do what they want. In a sinking ship or a ship going through a storm, you got to have clear command control. You cannot say, "Aap ye bhi karo, aap ye bhi karo." So the CISO's ability to give the clear mandates with authority from the CEO saying, "I will say these things, debate, fight," but once that order command is given, everyone, yours is not to question why, yours is just to do and die, as they say. So not die, hopefully, but come out of this. But that command has to be first thought through by the CISO and CIO, agreed with the CEO, and then once given, what is really priority, because you cannot do everything for everybody. But if it means you are in this industry, you secure, if it's an OT, then secure the OT line. If you're in DevOps, then you secure the dev cycle, agile. But whatever you agree on, I think you first need to prioritize. There's so much things to do and everything is important. It's clearly for the CISO to mandate and say what is really important during this point of time for the next 3 months. We call it vital, essential, desirable. What is vital, what is hygiene has to be done in the next 3 months. Then essential, okay, 3 to 6 months, and then desirable. But what's vital, what's survival right now, that priority has to be set by the CEO, CISO, and the CEO, and then taken it forward. I think that captain's direction during these tough times is so very important. Otherwise, everyone will do what they think is important.
Agree. Really appreciate that those thoughts. There's a question which has come from in the chat in audience, is in a CISO opinion on the digital transformation that happened during COVID times, Are they satisfied that it was secure? I'll add a couple of comments from my side, and then I'll let Suhas or Burgess, any one of them, add. As Burgess already pointed out, like whatever happened had to happen. They did it in 2 months, they did it in 2 months. And I think combining the vital, essential, desirable, they did it with the vital part of it. Then I'm sure all the CISOs started moving towards the essential part of it. And then they started moving towards the desirable part of it. So over to you, Burgess and Suhas. Any one of you want to add anything on this question, whether
Suhas, go ahead and
satisfied that I'm secure or not?
Go ahead, Suhas, and then I'll add.
Yeah. So here, one part definitely, they are satisfied by entire digital transformations where many years people couldn't do that. That happened in a shorter time. Many initiatives has been rolled out on immediate basis. But on the satisfaction piece, it is very very vague part, I would say, that organizations are happy that their business has not been impacted from the business side. From the security side, unless and until it was not detected whether attack has been happened really or not, or it was compromised, till the time we can say it is secure. Another point is like unless and until we do thorough review, third-party reviews or some audits around whether entire ecosystem which was enabled to for this remote work, whether it is secure, that we need to do. Unless and until we run such programs, then only we can ensure that 100% work from home has been enabled and this digital transformation is successful. Another piece is like say, whenever we are, so the second question from the ODC part. So this part we have experienced so badly in past because many customers, because of their sensitivity or confidentiality part, very critical applications were hosted in particular CDCs or ODC part. It was not possible to do work from home. At such scenarios, many, so for the mostly European and US customers, 50-60% customers allowed to do remote work, but few critical components were asked to do from ODCs only. At that time, proper care from the infrastructure side has been taken care, but that was very limited. Broadly, majority of large organizations has enabled remote work. Burgess.
Thank you. I have a slight different opinion. What had to be done, got that as you said. It's more important what you can do now. I think CISO should do a pat on the back. The very fact you survived a war, and pandemic was no less than a war. Each of our companies, as a CISO, when you're protecting them, must have been through many attacks. You survived that onslaught, partly brutal, partly come out, whichever way. It's more important what you can do now to ensure your journey ahead is secure. You know, if you may have been attacked, not attacked, partially attacked, gone through, victimized, ransomware, come out stronger, recovery, whatever. More important is what you do now so as to secure the journey forward. And that I think will determine the test of time.
Correct. Let me ask last question, Burgess, to you, and then we'll conclude. The recent grid scenario, the Chinese attack on national grids, railways, many more, and many more of this might have happened. I'm taking it to the concluding point of like intel and proactiveness part. What me as a CISO, if I was a CISO, what me as a captain of ship anywhere, should be having any lessons from all of this, which keeps on coming or highlighted to us. How still, I keep on getting, I give it, you give it, everyone gives it, everyone is giving it. What do I do? How do I still become proactive and understand the importance of this intel? Because if you see, many of these grids were not, they were saved because of the intel, by the way, because they received intel in time, and that's how these grids were saved. So how do we all make ourselves understand the importance of proactiveness and intel part, and our board and everyone?
So firstly, I think you have some aspiration to become a CISO. I could make out that, right? Because you keep on saying, I wish I was a CISO, I'll think like a CISO. Thanks to your intel, yes, CISOs would have survived that onslaught. It's a question of not, today I think every board also understands the importance of cyber, largely thanks to media and conferences like these and many others. It's just a question of how long do you stay in a state of ready alert. You can't stay in a hyper alert state too long, otherwise that itself becomes a dull state. It just means sensitizing your people to the right intelligence at the right time. Like I said, every warfare works on intelligence and deception. That's the basics of any warfare. Cyber is no difference. How well you deceive your enemy and how well you are the right intel will determine success or failure. So being on that state of paranoia, working on every intel calmly but swiftly, and acting on it, protecting yourself if the next threat comes without losing your state of alertness is the survival point from my perspective.
Agree. I'll just take question from the chat, and I'll probably try to answer it myself before Antriksh and anyone ping me that you are done. So as mentioned, that CISO now these days use the current communication text such as WhatsApp to spread information about threat mitigation. Some threat actor, I'm just summarizing like, oh, should it be sharing in the WhatsApp group? So I think here is my take on this. Let's divide this information in two parts, sensitive and insensitive, or public versus non-public. So whatever is public, whatever I'm getting from the public domain, I should be sharing on the WhatsApp. I should be helping people to find that public information which is scattered in 100 places at one place. No one knows that who all could be there in these WhatsApp groups. But let's come to the non-public part of it, or insensitive or a very sensitive information part of it, which I might be getting from my regulators, which I might be getting from something which only I should be privy to. That information we should not be sharing on those WhatsApp groups. I don't know, Burgess and Suhas, if you agree with that point, that sensitive and non-sensitive information and public versus non-public information.
Suhas?
See, it has different aspects when we are sharing such information. Sometimes if it is only informational based, then it is good. But most of the CISOs, I don't think they are sharing critical client-related information or organization-related information. But from the information, say this is a IOC or this is a critical incident which we observed recently, and that should be blocked at organization level. I think such type of scenarios definitely we can share, and it helps to prevent such type of attacks in future. I think I don't see any harm into that, but if somebody is by unknowingly, if they are sharing some information related to national critical assets, then can be prevented. But most of the places I have never seen such type of information has been passed through. I think most of us are that much mature that we are not sharing critical info on WhatsApp.
Tend to agree. Sharing good information, which is public in nature, over channels to us to have faster reach and timely action is important.
Yeah.
Everything else is professional. They will not share beyond that. You are a position of maturity and respect that share. But sharing intelligence of common attackers, just like attackers share information, sharing proactive defense information amongst peers and colleagues who help each other, I think is a plus point, which actually helps CISOs in the industry.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot, Burgess and Suhas. Really appreciate it. And thanks, Antriksh and entire Nullcon team for hosting all of three of us for this panel chat. Hopefully, it gave some insights on some of the mixed topics we covered here. Antriksh, over to you.
Thank you, Akshat, for moderating this panel, and Suhas and Burgess for sharing your insights. Just a kind request, in your CISO group, just add me also. So I get some intels as well.
Perfect.
Do you also aspire to be a CISO just like Akshat?
Not really.
So, Burgess, I don't want to be the CISO. We are a product guys and continue want to be product guys.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice
Thank you, everybody.
Good luck, Antriksh. All the very best for a great conference.
Thank you.